When I realized that I'm not where I want to be in life because I'm addicted to my stress, to my pain, to my misery, everything changed for me. And I know it's hard to believe because it's like, why would you willingly choose to make things harder for yourself? Why would you willingly choose to make yourself suffer when you so badly want a better life for yourself? And it's hard to accept that your subconscious mind is actually keeping you stuck. It's keeping you sick. It's keeping you poor, and it's keeping you addicted to stress hormones because that is what it knows. What happens when you're living on stress hormones is that you're stuck in the past. You literally have no creative energy to create a new life for yourself. When you're living on stress hormones, you're literally living it from a place of control, right? You just want to control everything. You're living in the 3D because that's where the danger lurks. So you can never, the only way to create a better life for yourself, to heal, to make more money, to get that dream relationship, to become more confident, attractive, magnetic, is to stop living in a constant state of control and fear. Because when you're living on stress hormones, you're always trying to control things. You can't let go of things. You're always stimulated. You're never living in the present. Your thoughts are always racing, thinking about what the next thing you're going to do is. Never in the present. And when you're living in a state of control and fear and you're living on stress hormones, that is extremely addictive to your brain once your brain gets used to that. Stress hormones are extremely addictive. Fear and negativity are extremely negative. And once your body and your mind gets used to that, it will keep you stuck in that way. It will keep you stuck in the past, in the familiar, and in the known. And there is no way to create a better life for yourself when you're operating in this way, when you're operating from a place of control and stress. And so in this video, I'm going to break down what all of that means and how you can take your energy back, how you can take back control of your life. And to get started, I really want to illustrate how I had this epiphany, because it happened to me through firsthand experiences. The universe kept sending me experiences telling me, look, this is what happens when you let go. This is what happens when you stop trying to stress about everything. When it first happened, I thought it was just first time, second time, thought it was just a coincidence. When it kept happening every time I let go, and it was like almost magical. But eventually I learned about these concepts that I'm going to share with you, and it makes so much more sense now. And now I purposefully let go. I purposefully let go of the stress, and I've developed so many techniques, which I'm also going to share, on how you can come back to the present moment, on how you can take your energy back so you can create that new version of yourself, the best version of yourself that you think about that's waiting for you. So I worked a 9 to 5 for 5 years, and during the 5 years, pretty much for all of it, I knew that I was never going to be fulfilled and I was never going to be happy. And the closer I got to the end of the 5 years, the more frustrated I got. I even went to therapy for a bit because I was like, I don't know how I'm going to make it to the end. I had to do the 5 years for my residency, so I knew I couldn't leave before the 5 years was up. And I was very, very stressed out. I was living in a state of high stress. I had a lot of underlying symptoms. I was just struggling a lot, and mentally especially, because I was very unhappy in my job. And I would always dream. I would dream and I would think, I want to start my own business. I got the idea for my business, which I have now, 2 years before I could leave my job. And I couldn't start a business based on my residency status. You're just not allowed to start a business. So I would get more frustrated and more frustrated, thinking, I have this dream, I'm so miserable in my job, etc., etc. I'm so stressed. But when my dream comes true, when I get to build my business, everything will be different. I'll never be miserable again. I'll never be stressed again. I'll always be grateful. And of course, when the 5 years finally came, I immediately left my job. I stuck to the plan. I started building my business. I wanted to launch these 4 products, these products that really helped me with my own health, helped me really relieve a lot of stress, helped me feel better, look better, whatnot. So I've been building my business for 2 years. I realized I was, if not the same, even more stressed than I was when I was working my 9 to 5. And of course, building a business is stressful. Of course it is. But it's almost like I was suddenly living my dream, the dream that I dreamt of for 5 years. For 5 years, I just dreamt of doing what I'm doing, and I'd told myself, I'll be so happy. And I wasn't, and it didn't make any sense. Why am I making things so hard for myself? Why am I mentally, when I have what I've wished for so long, making myself suffer? Why are my thoughts still so negative? So fast forward, I've been building my business for 6 months. I actually had a holiday booked. So I didn't want to go on this holiday. Bear in mind, I worked every weekend. So even when I was doing my 9 to 5, I started posting content because content was something I could do. And if I couldn't build my business, I could make content for free, right? And I worked every weekend. I wouldn't really prioritize socializing that much. I wouldn't really like let myself have a lot of fun. I wouldn't let go of things. I was just in this state of controlling things, being like, I have a dream and I have to make things happen. So I was just controlling my routine. That's all I felt I could do. I had this holiday plan, and my mindset around holidays was like, I would actually get a bit frustrated that I had to let go of my routine and that I had to let go of my content. Like, it would almost stress me out having to go on holiday, because I feel like if I didn't do everything that I had to do, if I wasn't in this constant state of stress and control, then I wouldn't succeed. That was my mindset. This was my first holiday in about 4 or 5 years because of COVID. And I go to Italy, and I go there for about 4 days, and a really amazing thing happened. I went to Italy, and once I was there, my focus went away from my business. I let go, I detached, and I truly did not expect this to happen. And of course, I put in the work before it. But that week, I think I came back to about 30 orders, which was insane for a small business of mine. That week in total, when I let go and I was relaxed and I was having fun, I was just enjoying myself. I was enjoying the food, the wine. It was a very well-deserved holiday, but my thoughts, they just stopped trying to control. I took my energy back and I was having a good time. And that whole week I got about 100 orders. Still to this day, that week is one of the most successful weeks I've had in terms of how many orders I've had. And that was like really blew my mind. And I was like, wow, okay, like interesting. And it happened a few times before, when I'd go on little weekend breaks and stuff, when I was first growing my pages, I would realize I hadn't checked my phone, my Instagram, my socials. I was just having fun. And suddenly out of nowhere, I would like get, 50 new followers or something, which is a lot when you're a new account. And so the second big experience that happened, which I'm going to share with you before we really get into all the details, so you can understand how all of this works and you can implement it into your own life. Because when this was all happening to me, I didn't truly understand why or how it worked. And now that I do, I'm very excited to share it with you. So then fast forward another 6 months later, I just literally remember, I went for a week to the south of France to stay with my friend. And before I left, I had to like quickly make this video. And I was a bit nervous about this video, but I also was a bit like, I don't have time to think about this. I'm just gonna film it, post it, and forget about it. I had to like get the train to London to get my flight to France. I just didn't have time to think about it. After 4 years, almost like 3.5 years of posting content on Instagram and only making it to 4,000 followers, that week in France, I had a good time. I detached, everyone was working, but I was like, I just want to relax. I feel like I need to relax. I just was having wine. We're going on nature walks. Like, it was just very, very wholesome, but I just wasn't even looking at my phone. And that week, within halfway through the week, I hit 10,000 followers. That video went completely viral. Thousands of people were downloading my guide. And I think within the end of the trip, I was almost on 20,000 followers. It was just absolutely insane. And I realized there was this trend of when I wasn't stressed and I wasn't trying to control everything in my circumstances and I was just having fun and I'd let go and I was detached, things just happened for me. What I really wanted started happening for me. And of course, it's not as easy because you'd say, well, Sakshi, how can my dreams come true? I have to put in the work. Yes, of course you have to put in the work, but you can make it happen a lot faster if you're coming from a place of genuine joy, love, appreciation, instead of stress, control, and fear. And that's what we're gonna get into right now. So let's do it. I'm really excited to share all of this with you guys. The very first lesson that I had to learn and really, really, really sink in so I could use it to my advantage, one of the most powerful lessons that you should take with you every single day, remind yourself of this every single day, is that your thoughts can physically change your brain and your body. Just really let that sink in. And I'm going to explain by the end of this video, you will understand how your thoughts have that kind of power. But your thoughts, just the things that you think in your head, can physically change your brain and your body. There was a group of Harvard researchers that took two groups of people. Neither of them had ever played piano before, and they gave one group of people a piano for a few weeks and they said, please practice these really simple 5-finger movements. The second group had no piano physically, but they told them about the simple 5-finger movements and they told them to just visually imagine themselves in their head, just close their eyes and just practice those 5-finger movements in their mind. And at the end of the study, both groups, so not just the group that was physically performing, but also the group that was visualizing it, both groups, they'd created a huge amount of new neural circuits in the neurological programming of the brain that controls finger movements. And one group did it by thought alone. So they literally, by visualizing, because your brain doesn't know the difference between what is imagined in your head and what is actually experienced in real life. So if you're sitting there for 10 minutes a day, imagining yourself playing piano for a few weeks, your brain is literally changing. You're creating a new habit. So if you're creating new neural circuits in your brain, which we'll be talking about as well. But imagine then you go sit by a piano, because you've already been mentally rehearsing it in your brain. It's going to be far easier than if you had never mentally rehearsed. You're already going to have that neurological programming in your brain. And everything that we do in our life, every decision we make, all the habits that we have in the day, all the thoughts that we have, that's all just based on the neural circuits and the neurological program we have that we've formed from our past, from every past thought, every past experience, every past habit, every past action, behavior, feeling, emotion, etc. So then the next example, there's been quite a few studies done on this. There was one group where they told one group of people to literally just for 11 minutes a day, imagine flexing your biceps. And at the end of a few weeks, they just imagined it in their head. The group literally increased their bicep strength by over 13%. And they did that by thought alone. And then another group, the researchers actually wrapped up their arms, their wrists in a surgical cast. It was a lot more controlled, and there was no way for them to use their wrist apart from the visualizing exercise they were doing. And the same thing happened. This group really rehearsed in their head that they were flexing their wrists, and at the end of the study, they had physically increased the strength of their wrists. So just by thought alone, they had changed their body and they had changed their mind. How amazing is that? And when you can really understand this and remind yourself of it every day, because your brain will try to distract you from this because it's so powerful. Anyone who really understands this and uses it to your advantage, you can achieve and become anyone you want. But it's so powerful, and your brain will do everything to make you forget and to take your focus away from it. Because as soon as you understand the power of this, you're going to have to go from the known and the familiar in the past into the unknown. And the unknown is where you can create a new reality for yourself. And your brain is scared of the unknown. So how can your thoughts have so much power? Because if you're like me, you would never have guessed that a single thought that you have in your head was influencing or physically changing your body or influencing your life, right? So let's break down how your thoughts actually have the power to do this. And this is how it works from a scientific viewpoint. So number one, you think a thought. That's the first step. Then the next thing that happens is as soon as you think a thought, there are networks of neurons that fire in the brain. So every time you have a thought, every time you complete a habit, you're going to have networks of neurons that fire in the brain. And that's how habits are formed, right? So if you wake up 100 days in a row in the morning and the first thing you do is grab your phone, every time you grab your phone, there's networks of neurons that are firing together in your brain. When you've done it 100 days in a row, imagine how strong that network is, right? The first time it happens, it's just like a little thread. When it happens again, it's another one, it's another one, it's another one, until you've done it 100 times, and it's this big rope of neurons. And it's so strong. And that's what your body and your brain knows now. So that's going to be a habit. And that's how habits are formed. And the same thing applies to your thoughts. If you wake up and you think, oh, like another day, I hate my job. Of course, if you hate your job, you hate your job. I've been there. But if those are the thoughts that you're having, and they're the same repetitive thoughts, then you have those neurons firing together. And then it's going to be more likely that you're going to have those same thoughts. So networks of neurons fire in the brain. Your brain and your heart are electrical organs. Every time you have a thought or you feel something, it actually creates an electrical impulse in the body, in the nervous system. And just a quick side note, if you follow me at all, I talk a lot about making sure you get your minerals, your electrolytes in liquid form. I mean, you can only get electrolytes in liquid form, but that's why one of the core products that I have in my business is a product to make magnesium bicarbonate water, which is magnesium rich water, because your main 3 minerals are magnesium, potassium, sodium, right? There's a few others like calcium. And when they're in water, when they're in liquid form, they become electrolytes. And why do you think it's called electrolytes? It's called electrolytes because it helps to create those electrical impulses our body needs, our nervous system needs to work properly. Our body and our cells need to communicate with each other, to do the thousands of tasks they need to do. So the next thing, those thoughts that you have, so you wake up and you're just like, oh, like another day, like I have to do this and this and this. And then maybe the feeling of fear starts to come, right? So your thoughts create a feeling. Maybe they create fear, maybe they create anxiety, maybe it creates stress. And so that's step 4. Again, the feelings create an electrical charge. And every time there's an electrical current, this creates a magnetic field around you. So all of those thoughts that you have, all of the feelings that you have, they send electrical impulses. They send electrical charges, which creates a magnetic field around you like this. So as you're walking, you actually have this magnetic field around you that's equal to the state of your being. And that's why you can tell when someone's angry without them even having to say something. You can tell when someone's lying, or maybe you don't trust them. Maybe your gut feeling is telling you something about someone. Maybe your friend. Maybe you're just like, you don't know if they have your best intentions because their words don't match their energy and how they're feeling on the inside. And energy doesn't lie. And you can pick up on these things. You can pick up on your electromagnetic field. And this field is exactly what draws things to you as well. So when your state of being is equal to a state of being of love, joy, positive thoughts, that's also going to draw those things to you as well. When it's equal to a state of stress, control, it's going to repel the things that you really want when you're obsessing over it, just like I was. I really wanted to grow on social media. I would obsess over it. It didn't happen until I let go of it. Same with my orders. Here's how I used to live every day, and here's how you're probably living every day, right? It's the same routine, and we don't even realize it. You just end up running on an automatic program. So you think that you're in conscious control, but you're not, because you wake up and perhaps the thoughts that you have in your head are ones of fear, stress, anxiety, because you wake up and you pick up your phone. This is what happens, okay? So you wake up, that's you. Phone. So you've got your phone, Instagram, email, Facebook, social media in general, text. Now you really remember these things. It's really going to remind you things about yourself, right? You're going to be firing those neurons. You pick up your phone, you fire those neurons. Then you have those familiar thoughts that you have every day. You remember who you are. And those thoughts, you're just giving your energy away. Then you're thinking about your job. I know this is terrible writing, but you're thinking about your boss, coworkers. And the reason I'm drawing this diagram is to just illustrate this is you, and this is you giving your energy away every time you have a thought. Thoughts are energy. So every time you wake up and you grab your phone, you have neurons firing in your brain, and you're implementing that habit into you. Then you have the same, you look on social media, you have the same routine, neurons are firing in your brain, and you're also giving your energy away. Then you're thinking fearful thoughts maybe about your job or your coworkers or the meeting that you have, or maybe you're stressing because you want a different life for yourself, but you don't think you can do it. And your thoughts are just running your program, and you're just giving all of your thoughts away, right? And then maybe you go to work in the same way, you eat the same meal, and then you stress about the food. Maybe you're like, I don't know if I should be eating this. I'm stressed about food. I don't know if this is going to hurt my tummy. Whatever it may be, whatever is occurring for you, it will be the same pattern every day. And then you come home, you have the same routine. Maybe you put on the TV, again, have the same thoughts. You tell yourself, maybe tonight I'm not going to go on my phone, I'm going to read. But because those neurons are so strong together, they're fired together so many times, is that even if with the best of intentions, you're still slipping back into old habits. When you view it like this, it really helps me. Every time you try to build a new habit, it is going to be uncomfortable, because your old habits have very, very strong neurological programming in your brain. And when you build a new habit, you're firing new neurons, but it's a very thin thread. And so every time you build that new habit, you fire new neurons, and you're slowly building that thread up. And one day it will overtake the old habit, but it's just very hard to get to that point, because your brain will do everything it can to keep you the same. Because when it keeps you the same and you wake up, everything that you think is based on the past. So when you're running, when you're not in conscious control and you're letting your subconscious run your life, it's actually everything that your subconscious comes up with is all based on the past. It's all based on your past thoughts, your past actions, and your past habits. And so until you take conscious control and you start thinking new thoughts and you start having new habits, your past is going to equal your future. And another thing is, you only have a finite amount of energy every day to create the life that you want. And if you're letting your subconscious mind take over into the old ways of thinking, into the old habits, into the old fearful thoughts, then you will have no energy left to create your new reality. Think about the role that your thoughts play in making you stressed. It's your thoughts that are racing. It's your thoughts based on your past programming that are telling you that you can't do it, that you're tired, that you're stressed, that you need to control everything, that things aren't working out for you. And then that makes you more stressed, and then that makes you more anxious, and then that causes more thoughts to tell you like that. But what you can do is you can build your self-awareness muscle. And this is something I started doing around 5 years ago, and it is a lifelong journey. It is a lifelong journey because your brain is a powerful thing that will do everything it can to keep you stuck in your same ways and in the past. And that's why building new habits is hard and it hurts. But your brain just wants to keep you safe, and the safe is the familiar and the known, the same ways of thinking and the same habits. But you can build your self-awareness muscle, because when you're living in the past, that's your unconscious mind living on your automated programs, right? Most people will go through their whole life just living on automatic programs. They don't even realize that they're not in conscious control. But when you build your self-awareness muscle, you can start to rewire new thoughts, which will then, create new feelings and new behavior, new actions, and new habits. How do you do this? The first thing I do as soon as I wake up in the morning, first of all, you need to believe in the power of your thoughts and the power of your mind, and literally think of yourself as like this magical, powerful person, and your brain is like, just listens to what you say. You tell yourself that I'm in control. My subconscious mind listens to what I tell it. So I start telling myself, as soon as I wake up, I want the first thoughts in my head to be thank you. Because when you wake up, your brain is in theta brainwaves. When you're in theta brainwaves and then it slowly goes to alpha, it's a much slower frequency. So you're in a hypnotic state, and that's when your subconscious mind is most likely to be rewired. That's why it's the first hour of the day, the first 5 minutes of the day when you wake up is so powerful. And it's really taking control back of that and just saying positive thoughts, maybe writing in a journal, just filling your head with new positive thoughts. Maybe you want to listen to an audio. That's very powerful. Same with right before you're falling asleep. And it's just about making a commitment every single day, because you will fall back into old ways of thinking, and I still do all the time, because I've created new neurons and new neurological programming of new ways of thinking. I can go back into my positive ways of thinking as well, and I can come back a lot quicker as well. So at the beginning of my journey, something that really helped me, because I was in a very, very negative way of thinking. I was very stressed out and I didn't know how to get myself out of it. I started inputting a lot of positivity, right? Sometimes it's not all up to you. It's really hard if you don't already have the positive thoughts in your mind to just come up with all of that by yourself. But there's so many resources out there. There's books, audio books, podcasts, like YouTube videos. Every time you're watching one of those that's putting positive thoughts into your mind, you're still creating those new neurons. You're creating that new hardware into your brain. And so this book is something that really helped me, and it's called The Universe Has Your Back. And it just filled my brain with positivity and all of these mantras. And so what I realized is, while I was building my self-awareness muscle, as soon as thoughts of fear would come in, I would say some of the mantras from this book, like, I witnessed my fear and I let it go to the universe. And I still to this day say this, anytime I'm feeling stressed, I just say, I witnessed it and I let go of it. And I trust that the universe has my back. I trust that everything is happening for me, not to me. And I realized that as well. Some of the hardest things that have happened to me in my life, some of the hardest things that I've gone through with my health, with my relationships, were the best things that ever happened to me. Now in hindsight, they were the best things that ever happened to me. So a lot of the time you just have to trust that everything that's happening to you is happening for you. And just to start replacing those fearful thoughts with thoughts of love. If you resonate with what I've talked about at all, then I'm building a whole course on this with loads of techniques and tactics. We're going to dive really deep into it. And it's completely free inside my community, which is the lowest price it's ever going to be. And I'll leave the link right below this video. If you want to dive into something right now and this book resonates with you, The Universe Has Your Back, I highly recommend it. It really, really helped me, and I'll never really forget the impact it made on my life. So if you feel called to read this book, I definitely recommend it. I'll be posting many more videos on this topic, but from this video, I hope you can take away just how powerful you are, how powerful your thoughts are, and you can always take back conscious control. It's just about committing every day to slowly build that self-awareness muscle, slowly replace and include better thoughts, which will then eventually lead to better habits. And when you are still building those habits, every single time you build a positive habit, never forget that you are making a positive change to your life. It's just about persevering, not for weeks, not for months, but sometimes for years, because, you know, for a lot of us, we had those poor habits for many years, and sometimes it's going to take us years to get out of it. But the journey is beautiful, and I'm very excited for you, and I know you can do it, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you so much for watching.